Consequently, they wielded considerable influence over Celtic society as a whole, and not just a single clan or tribe. They were steadfast in their opposition to Roman rule, which is why the Romans wished to destroy them. Obviously, at this time, the Druids saw Caraticus as their best chance of survival.
Of course, there were some temples in ancient Britain, Stonehenge, Woodhenge, almost just arriving about religious sentiment of one sort or another. And with the Romans, they bring in a great many different gods, of course, of which, from the army's point of view, the cult of Mithras was the most important, the slaying of the great bull. But we must never forget, it was also the Romans at the time of Constantine brought Christianity to Great Britain for the first time. It wouldn't last, it had to start again after the Dark Ages, and it was the Romans who brought in Christianity, and there are several ruins of Christian churches built by the Romans, still to be found in London, York, and others of the city.
At first, Caraticus' attacking strategy of leaving the Roman forts alone and harrying the pro-Roman settlements behind him met with success, but he underestimated the speed of Ostorius' reaction. Assembling a force of auxiliaries, Ostorius launched a counter-offensive which soon drove the invaders out of the Roman province. By this stage of the campaign, many of the auxiliaries would actually be raised from among the defeated British tribes, and increasingly they took on the habits and dress styles of the Britons. By the end of the year 47 AD, the immediate threat to Roman Britain had been dispelled. To make his position more secure, Ostorius now disarmed all those tribes within the province, so as to prevent sympathizers of Caraticus in Roman territory from giving him armed help in the future. This edict was also applied to the client kingdom of the Iceni, some of whom refused to give up their weapons and promptly revolted. The rebels gathered behind a hastily fortified earthwork, which was unapproachable by cavalry. Ostorius first surrounded this, then stormed it with auxiliary infantry and dismounted cavalry. The following year, Ostorius mounted a punitive expedition against the tribes of modern Flintshire. The Welsh tribes attempted to ambush the Roman force, but this went badly wrong. Thereafter, the Romans ravaged their territory far and wide, taking considerable booty. They had almost reached the Irish Sea when news of a conflict amongst the Brigantes reached them. The Brigantes were the largest confederation of tribes in the British Isles, controlling most of what is now northern England. There were two main factions within the Brigantes. Queen Cartimandua was formally recognized as a client of the Roman Empire and led the pro-Roman faction. She had her power base in the southern region of the Brigante territories. Her husband, Venutius, in the north, however, was sympathetic to the aims of Caraticus, as were his followers. Being hard-pressed in Wales, Caraticus seems to have instigated a Brigante revolt in the north with a view to shifting Cartimandua from power. This was a situation which Ostorius could not tolerate, and he marched into Brigantian territory with a mixed force of legionaries and auxiliaries to put down the revolt. Those who had taken up arms against the Queen were executed, and the rest pardoned. In 50 AD, Ostorius decided that some major changes had to be made to the arrangements of his predecessor. The border established by Plautus just wasn't practical, so Ostorius decided to push it further towards Wales. To do this, Ostorius established a colonia, a town founded to house retired legionaries at Colchester, with 2,000 to 3,000 retired veterans based there. Ostorius was now able to move the 20th Legion to a new base at Gloucester. During the summer, the 20th Legion left its new base to march into South Wales. The 14th made a similar probe further north. The year's campaign was inconclusive. Caraticus did not oblige Ostorius by meeting the Romans in battle, being content to play cat and mouse while harrying their communications. The following year, however, he would not even have this option. The deliberate burning and looting which the Roman forces had carried out led to much grumbling against Caraticus as a leader. He now needed to inflict a telling defeat on the Romans if he was to maintain his position as Celtic war leader. Consequently, in AD 51, he changed his strategy and moved the crises in Wales. Gratticus decided to risk a battle.